Hello, everyone out there. Welcome back to what are we called? Menopause and the Apocalypse. With
You forgot.
I had to read my notes. It's been so long. We haven't been on here in a while to do one of our amazing videos. What we love to talk about is what we're going through during menopause and trying to navigate in this reality that we're all in. And going through these hormonal shifts. So that's what we're going to talk about today. My dear friend Caitlin, who is an amazing midlife mermaid, shaman, energy worker. But I'll let you explain your little bio,
Okay.
Caitlin. So welcome.
Yeah. Well, I realize the shamanic word is way overused, and I'm switching to intuitive healer and realm guide
I
because
like that.
part of my gifts are to synthesize a lot of information and relate it to the different parts of this reality.
Mhm.
So that goes with your astrology, your energies of your astrology, the elements, your environment, how different woundings and things like that. So
Mhm.
it's all like one big picture and then relating it to the reality we're living in, which
Yeah.
is a big part of how we move is through this environment that is full of energies.
Yeah.
So,
That's all it is
and
frequencies and
yeah,
energies and so we're going to get
energies,
into
ley
that.
lines,
Yeah.
you know, there's like a whole thing happening in the energy field, which is I
Mhm.
just keep talking about in my videos about how we live in the sea of energy and we're all connected by the ether. So part of what we haven't really been taught in our, cheesy education and whatnot is this reality has a lot of energies. We
Mhm.
have spiritual energies, entities, lower vibrational beings, higher vibrational beings,
Mhm.
nature spirits. Our own ancestry
Mhm.
is around us, and those could be the wounded ones or the higher elevational ones. Just
Mhm.
depends on what and who you've allowed in,
Mhm.
whether knowing or not knowing. So
Yeah.
it's good to really get clear with what you're working with and who's around you.
Yeah. And that's
Yeah.
working on your own intuition and getting to know your own energy field and how you're tapping into these unseen realms and energy fields and that quantum space. Like you said, I love that because we are all connected through that ether. And so there
Yeah.
is a collective consciousness. I love that's what my videos are on is like tapping into the collective and seeing where we're all at. And then we have our own personal energy field with higher self. We have a higher self in that collective and our own personal. But I
And our
love
astrology,
and in
which is
astrology,
like a big part of how we interpret this
huge.
reality,
Yeah.
like a huge lens,
It's a tool.
right?
Yeah. It's like
The
whoever
tool, that's what I keep
designed
talking about.
this.
We are this energetic tool in the sea
Yeah.
of energy.
Yeah.
So, and then menopause, we have shifted our energies. Remember there was this acupuncturist, I forget her name, but she was talking about how we were b prior to menopause, our hearts the energy was running from the heart to the uterus, which I call it uterus because that was one of the original names of the uterus is a uterus.
Oh.
And I that's another thing I get into is how they've taken language to use it against us and
Mm.
to disempower us. So language is a big part of that because words have power and
Mhm.
sound, right?
Yeah.
So it was running, in the flow basically with our energetic beings from the heart to the uterus,
Mhm.
and we express things through our sexual nature and all that, and then now in menopause it shifted the uterus to the heart. That is the energy shift that's happened, and so there's a whole thing that happens with that, and part of what happens with that is we get way more intuitive
Mhm.
if we're on our path.
Mhm.
So part of what menopause is doing is clearing out all the other stuff, like, are you in a good relationship? Are
Mm,
you, are you happy with your occupation and what you do for your destiny and your, is it something you chose or is it something you just fell into because you had to do it? There's all these things of looking at all these things in our lives that are they benefiting us or not, and that frustration, irritation, the dropping of estrogen
mhm,
creates this like cocooning kind of energy where it's like, I don't want to share. I don't want to share my body. I don't want to share, my space. I want to be alone. I want to be, there's like all this stuff that's happening on all these different levels to help us go in and tune in to the heart. The heart, which is not a pump, it's a vortex. It's
right,
actually spinning the blood. It's vortexing the blood. So we're like connecting with this vortexing energy,
mhm,
right? And
yeah,
it's spinning and
amazing,
it's spinning one way and the other way. So it's
yeah,
really this divine polarity that's happening with the blood in the veins in
mhm,
the body. So it's like
yeah,
a whole new energetic
it is.
that yeah,
Well,
we're adjusting to.
yeah, that were yeah, because that could be the case too, is like, maybe it used to be a pump in the old timeline, but since we are in this ascension, great awakening time, and we're transmuting and we're morphing and ascending, there's like our body parts have even shifted. So now our heart is now discovered as being a vortex and in a different place than it used to be. So then we're getting into the
Yeah,
Mandela
it's in the
effect.
center,
It's in the center
right? It's in the
now,
center.
just
Yeah.
slightly to the left, but it used to be completely on the left side, right? Like right here. Yeah. And now it's like right in the center. Yeah. So and the kidneys are in a different spot. They used to be below the rib cage. Now they're above. And this is stuff you can, but
Yeah,
it's just
it's interesting.
fascinating the way that our
Yeah,
bodies are moving into the new energies, like we were talking about.
yeah,
Everything is energy, and the more that we're expanding our consciousness and becoming more aware of something greater than us. And I
yeah.
love it. It's really exciting. And
Well, and you mentioned
going
the
through
Mandela effect. Well, the Mandela effect is getting a lot of coverage lately. I feel like
oh,
more
that's
people
great.
are knowing about it.
Yeah.
But what's interesting is people are obsessed with like the different things that are happening, the different effects, and they just try to figure out why they do that and this. But I really feel like the Mandela effects are here as like this little hint that guess what? You can change your past to affect the future.
100.
So, like showing us that it's possible, and that is retrocausality.
Yeah.
You do all the, I know a lot of people have done all the therapy and they're just like, what? I can still not like in this place where I want to be. And it's because they just need to recreate that.
Mhm.
They need to recreate their birth story or recreate,
Yeah.
this traumatic relationship they had or, and write a new story because you will affect the future and the present with that.
Right.
So
And
that's
I
just
think
my spiel about Mandela effects because
that's right.
yeah, people are really obsessed with that they exist, what
Mhm.
they're happening. But also if you really tune into this reality, there's a lot of magic and mystery. So
So
why wouldn't it be happening? So,
yeah.
you know,
There's
yeah,
so
it's
much
like,
magic, and I love the rewriting because I think there's enough consciousness now that we really are shifting our reality. I think it is a collective. We're doing it individually, but on that collective, those of us that are really seeing the Mandela effects that are happening that are the same for us, we have shifted more with a collective, and that's exciting to see. So it is like a um those are clues that I feel
yeah, it's like these
are all
little ripples in
together.
the reality,
Yeah,
right?
that it is
That show
possible
us that
to
there's
shift.
magic here.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that it's possible. It's
And
amazing.
yeah, and
And
so
that's why you
what's that?
do the work to clear your past because it will affect the present and that will affect your future because
That's
it's all one in this reality. It's all one in the vibrational physics world.
that's right.
So that's what really we need to recognize why we do the work, why you're doing
That's
the
right.
work to clear,
Well, because
traumas and
that's
dramas.
exactly, and that's what I'll do in my sessions as we go to, like, traumatic events, because those are still alive if you're still traumatized about them in this now moment. So they're still happening on that timeline, in that time and space where you were that age and that person. It's still happening. And so we have to go in there and like collapse it and heal it and bring all that love and recognize who you really are, this, extension of source, God's source, this, infinite, just unconditional love. And so when you recognize that and collapse that darkness and then bring it into this now, that's that's why I feel like we're here to do that. So you're right on that. Is like healing all of those other vibrational spaces that are happening in this now for us to go through what we're going through. And the
Yeah,
menopause,
because otherwise you're just constantly being pulled back
that's right.
into something that had happened long ago,
Recreate. So
and
that's
it's not
that's where I was going.
happening.
It's the recreation. So you're healing that space and then you're recreating basically your history too. You're recreating
Yeah,
who you really are to become super aligned and excited to be here and in your joy and really knowing who your essence and soul is. And that's
yeah.
not
I mean,
easy.
this is menopause, deeply understanding
It's
yourself.
menopause. That's right.
And this is challenging if you have children and you have all these obligations like you do and, you know, to family, and
Well,
it's
yeah,
a lot.
you have the like
You
you
have
were
to
talking about,
carve out time for it.
yeah, like you were talking about all the ancestral stuff. Because so not only is that your personal stuff, but then you're dealing with the wounded ancestors, your wounded feminine in other timeline and spaces. You're what I
Yeah.
realized the other day, that I actually have a wounded masculine that come because I've been quick to anger. So I actually sat the other, and did a little like just tuned in and I was like, gosh, this menopause is really like making me a little bit angry, like really angry, like quick to like just get out of balance. And I was like, wow, that's my I have wounded feminine that I've been dealing with, but I actually have a wounded masculine because we have to bring into balance our feminine and masculine, right? And so that was a big wake up
Yeah.
for me because I was like, oh,
Yeah, I mean,
yeah,
but see, you are centered enough that you recognize this is not me when
right.
you're getting angry. And
Yeah.
that's what consciousness is.
That's
So the
exactly.
awareness of like, why am I angry right now? Why am I
Yeah.
asking, just being curious about the behavior that's coming out
Yeah.
and being like, oh, I'm angry because I just need to be alone at this moment, or I'm angry because there's a being that is coming through and taking me over.
Yeah.
This was happening for me a lot with my wounded feminine.
Yeah.
So I had just a gang, like a gang of women that were just like,
Good.
they were just
Hey,
like
no, be
ready to pounce on the man, and get him, off with his head. So, and it wasn't coming out that way. I wasn't getting violent or anything, but it definitely was like, when I realized what was happening, when I
Mhm.
had enough consciousness of my behavior and awareness of my behavior and my thoughts,
Mhm.
that this was taking me over and I was allowing it to take me over. Because we
Right.
have to remember we have free will. So it's like this is really a time to assert your free will
Yeah.
and to claim your energy field
Yeah.
for your own, right?
Yeah. And like you said, like really focus on what you do want and who you really want to be. Because that's how you
Yeah,
recreate from any kind of programming, from lineage, from ancestors, from the programming we were born into. Like when we say they've been, twisting our
yeah,
words and programming us in this kind of false matrix negative zone timeline. And so
Yeah,
there's a whole thing on that, but um, we wanna recruit focus, because that's why I like what you said in our personal conversations, focus on what we do want. That is actually really important.
right.
And
Because yeah, and why you wanna do that is because there is, like, already this kind of AI in this reality that is listening to our thoughts and beliefs and our actions and
yeah,
seeing what's happening, that it responds. So, we're heavy manifestors all the time.
yeah,
So it's like if I'm going, "I don't want this, I don't want that, I don't want this,"
yeah,
it's like that's just giving you that,
yeah,
basically. So you
that's
have to, "Well, I really want a healthy relationship
yeah,
with a man that's, healthy in his body," and, like, just things that I want that I recognize that I have no control over, and I don't wanna control my partner anyway.
right.
So, I just will
That's
just focus on, yeah, just like, okay, well, I want I want this healthy situation,
yeah,
and focusing on that is manifesting that.
yeah,
So, I am, like, blown away these days too by how synchronistic things are.
yeah,
Like, I've been like, the latest example is I've been taking probiotics because I started to get these dry patches in
mm,
my face, like
okay,
really dry, itchy, and weird, like menopausal acne. I don't know. So
yeah,
I'm like, what is going on? I always have great skin, and I'm just like, why is this happening? And
yeah,
then I looked on this website of this amazing skincare line,
uh,
Marie Veronique. I used to use her products out of Berkeley for many years. She's great stuff.
what's her name?
Anyways, I just Marie Veronique.
Marty
She's
Bettany.
French. She's en
Oh, cool,
français. Yes.
okay.
She anyway makes a great skincare line, but on her website there's a whole thing about yogurt and probiotics, and it was
Uh-huh,
like for the skin, and I was like, duh. And
that's
so I got some yogurt and started putting it on my face, and I started taking probiotics. Now,
perfect.
when I did this, my friend sent me a video about the bifida, um, bacteria that's
Yeah,
in probiotics. And this was a video of this woman who's looked at many, she's a doctor, she's looked at many stools, and she saw that people who had COVID didn't have this strain of
interesting.
bacteria.
Okay,
And children are born with this bacteria, but as you get older, older people tend to have less of this bacteria. So
okay,
here I am taking this bacteria. She
awesome.
sends me that video. Then I go to this dance class, this amazing dance class. All these people were there. This
Uh-huh,
African guy came. It was just like amazing, such high energy. And then after, this woman's like, "Oh, I got tested positive for COVID." I'm just not into the testing, all that, but
yeah,
and she, messaged me, "I'm sorry," 'cause she was over at my house a couple days ago.
okay.
But then I get this, whole like uh
Wow,
email from the
information.
teacher.
Yeah,
Yeah, and it was just like, "Oh, I
that's
feel
the
fine."
synchronicity. Yeah, of like
Yeah, it's like this how synchronistic things are. It's like
yeah,
one thing is a hint for the next thing is a
that's
hint
right.
for the, so if you're like clear enough, you can pay attention
Mhm.
to all of these magical, because I feel like we live in a synchronistic
Yeah,
reality.
yes.
And only through major research and
Yeah,
going down millions of rabbit holes from,
yeah,
all the politics and the history we're given also is part of like what is really dampening people's spirits. They don't really realize how
right,
what we've been fed is like not really the full truth.
right. Well, and it's
So
all a
that it's
distraction from the bigger what's
all a
so
distraction. And so we get,
all when you really realize that it's all a distraction and we truly are the creators of our reality and we can choose what we're focusing on and and
yeah,
and see the synchronicity. I mean, that's just when you can expand that much into your consciousness and really grasp that, like it's like that's where the magic is. Like when you see the
that's where the
synchronicity,
magic is.
that's
Yeah.
like,
And it
yeah,
just, I see people so beat down by the agenda,
oh,
whatever it
yeah.
is. and
That's
just
I know.
being kind of just,
Angry and
yeah, taken
sad and
over. Yeah.
stressed. Yeah,
Yeah, and the illusion that we're supposed to somehow save this reality, we're supposed to save the world, you know,
right.
I think
I call it
is
the false
really,
matrix reality that we've been
yeah, like
looping.
we're supposed to be out there in the streets doing this, even though it never moves an inch,
None.
whatever is happening,
Yeah.
you know.
It's actually
I'm
worse.
getting all these, I know, I'm
It's the
getting all these
realities.
political things like, oh my God, we got to keep Biden in so we don't get Trump in. I'm like, you realize that, we've had a Democrat for the last whatever 8 years and it
Yeah.
sucked. Okay. I'm paying more than ever for things. And
Yeah.
I mean, it's just
Yeah.
insane
It's
that you
crumbling.
think that, yeah, and yeah, it's just all
That's a whole
freaking mess.
reality I've never bought into anyways. I think I've voted
Well,
twice.
see, I'm a Libra, and I get super into justice. I'm like,
Oh,
no justice,
okay. Yeah, yeah.
s- but I realized,
I'm
oh no,
Aquarius. I'm
actually,
like, none of it's real. Hey guys.
guys, it's like higher timelines.
But
Yeah.
totally different timeline.
So it's, yeah.
No,
So it depends on your history, your indoctrination.
that's
I
right.
was raised that I was going to be one of the good people,
Yeah.
and you fight for justice and you fight. And then you realize actually, if you go down these rabbit holes, every single movement was infiltrated with psyop, counter psyop. So there was
Yeah.
CIA was involved in all the things,
Yeah.
you know,
Oh, yeah.
Martin Luther King,
Yeah, when
whole thing is all just like
mhm.
seriously manipulated.
Yeah.
So,
No, everything's been
so
manipulated.
it's like, oh, okay. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm not so we can
Yeah.
unsubscribe
And
to all
unsubscribe.
of that
Absolutely. And I think that's
and
what we're doing.
go into the inner journey because our
Mm,
bodies have so much that in this being a tool, if we
mm.
can clear out the field, we have an amazing source for
Yep.
all information and
We
for
do.
our own healing. I listen to the tiny voice. Sometimes it takes me a while. It was
Yeah.
like, go to this website. I'm
Yeah.
like, okay, I'm not going to buy your products right now. No, go to this website. It's like, finally I did. And
That's a
then it was just like, yeah,
yeah.
that's what,
That's what I've always
that's what,
called when I'm talking to, my intuition or whatever, I've called it the voice. And then they came out with the
yeah,
TV show, The Voice. I'm like, come on. So that's how I see things that I'll have and that will manifest in this this matrix. It's so trippy. The play on words and stuff. So, but to me, that's a sign. So I call, something that I get information from the voice, and then I'll see, and then now there's, that TV show called The Voice, and I'm like, there's a connection there, and it's magic to me because it's like that's like
yeah.
my intuition giving me another like, hey, look how amazing it is in this you can make it so amazing and so really recognize those synchronicities and break
Yeah. And what you're focusing on is what you're bringing forth. So it's like,
right.
really becoming aware of our thoughts. I mean, I can't stress enough. It's like just
That's right.
observe at first. That's the first level. Is observe
Yeah.
and ask questions.
Yeah.
Why am I acting like this? Why do I feel this way? Because
Yeah.
depending on your astrology, it's like you don't quite know like all the powers you might have or what you could be in the shadow of.
Yeah.
You know, so you have to really understand.
And
Like
it's
I spent a lot of time explaining to someone about, they had this incredible violation in childhood,
hmm,
but they also have a lot of cancer in their chart. They have a lot of placements of planets and cancer in the sun. And
yeah.
it's like it's going to be harder for you to get over this
Yeah.
because it's all, you are really geared towards the family. When the family
Hmm.
violates your trust, well, that's huge. No wonder why you can't get over this and you're in your 50s now, you
Oh,
know, and
yeah.
you've done all the therapy and all the, it's like it's because of this. So it's like the consciousness of like, okay, I have all this
Yeah.
emphasis on the family and tribe in my
Right.
system.
Well, and also
So
have the
it
conscious
becomes what you have to get over. what
That's
you
right.
have to like the quest,
Yeah,
right? So
yeah. Well, and know
all
and
these ways,
know that your soul wanted to learn through that.
right? It's
That it
everything
chose
happens for a reason. So that's
those signs, it chose that those placements to learn. That's I still feel that, I've always known that. My guys, everything is a inner lesson, but we did choose all of
yeah,
these before coming in. Like, "Oh, I'm gonna be a triple Pisces and have, and trauma with my family," and I mean, and that's thank goodness I didn't choose that because I feel like that's the hardest, for, they chose a hard path of, like, having, childhood traumas with family,
mm,
with whatever that was, like abuse and all of that. So I put my hat off to you guys out there that went through that, but we do choose. And so when you grasp that concept of like, oh, I chose and I have free will and I can get through this and then help others because I think that's the whole point as well when we all go through our trauma.
right. It's not about just going in and not paying any attention to
That's right.
anybody. I mean, it's like
Hmm.
about your community, your friends, your family. You go in to help others,
That's
but you
right.
have to go in first.
You
You
do.
can't just like be putting out fires and not doing the work yourself.
That's right.
So,
Yeah,
but we do need the outer to help us.
that's right.
So,
Because we turn to
I
other
mean,
like,
that's
I'm so thankful throughout the years of who I've, found to help me on my path. Yeah, including
mhm.
yeah, including
Yeah,
you.
totally. Yes, I know. And we've like been through a long period of knowing each other. I mean,
Yeah,
geez, that's I feel like
it's amazing.
maybe several lifetimes have happened in
Oh,
that
totally.
time.
Well, and that's what I'm
Right.
like, it's so powerful because I see our priestesshood, like, in those other lifetimes. Yeah,
I
and you
know we both didn't do astrology back in the days, but we both have Virgo rising. So it's a
yes.
lot of, yes,
And you're teaching me
studying
about my
about
Virgo
that.
rising. Yeah, I love it.
Oh my God.
You're,
Yeah,
like,
it's a whole thing.
re-teaching me, like, "Don't you remember ceremony?" On
Ceremony,
like
ritual. Yeah.
yes. So you're reteaching
Yeah.
making me free from, because we're all not, we all have been a part of this false matrix on some level or, and to really, uh, figure out what that is and break free from it. And so,
Yeah.
yeah, it's powerful stuff.
And it is powerful. It
Yeah.
really is. And it's all about the consciousness, which,
Mhm.
I didn't really fully understand what consciousness was until I hit menopause. And then I was like, oh, it's like really, it's like an awareness of your energies at all times.
Yeah.
So,
Well, it's yeah,
yeah, it's just,
totally. It's conscious aware of your own energy field. And it is
yeah,
more
your energy.
I mean, I came in with already a heightened intuition for some reason. I must, it's like, just with being super intuitive and being able to read energies my whole life. So that's like, but I've been now going through menopause. Like I really, like, yeah, I'm really grasping that consciousness. So it is even more heightened. And, um, and just reading, our own energy field, my own energy field, and then all the other energies that we were talking about earlier, the
Yeah.
unseen and to really be aware of them and know that you have the power to transmute anything that's in your space also. I've always said
Well,
everything
and that
Evo,
we're in
you know.
control.
What's
We're
that?
in control.
We
We're in
are?
control,
Yeah,
you know? There's this understanding that we're not, that we're just,
yeah,
victims of the energies
yeah,
and the events that happen, but we're not. We actually have all the power.
we do.
So,
Yeah.
we
And then
do.
yeah,
So
we
much
were
power.
talking about because it is more challenging, just like what the astrology, where your signs are. So just on that level, it's like hard. But then, so when you understand that, and you understand where like when you were born and what your astrology signs are, I'm not too verse like you are, but so that's important. But it also is important to know where you're living. And so what ley lines you're on, what kind of energy is in your state, in your city, in your country, and then but then also where you're actually living, like where's your house. So it's important to know all that energy and what you're dealing with. So you
Yeah.
can bring more balance and alignment in your
Yeah, and
personal
then
life,
part
which will
of
help the collective. Yeah.
right. Yeah, and part of understanding that is also just realizing that, like I say, we're in this sea of energy. It's
Mhm.
like learning more about vibration and really understanding,
Mm.
how to look around you and see, oh, there's a portal here, or we can see portals. Everybody can see portals if you just watch how the
Yeah.
trees are growing.
Yep.
That's why I'm making videos about that, in my neighborhood. And it's so funny because I
Love that.
never realized it. Like, but this one video I just made, it's like there is geopathic stress in the trees. There's tumors, like big ones, growing on this little tree. And then right across from it is a car that crashed years ago, like
Whoa,
way long ago. There's
that
actually trees growing. It's totally decomposed. And it's like
yeah,
that's part of and then some people are born into areas of geopathic stress, and you end up becoming in resonance more with geopathic stress
right.
than because you're aligned with it.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
it's really interesting because then you get drawn to that. So, and this was kind of the challenge of dowsers back in the day
Mhm.
because they were looking for water. They're looking for geopathic stress essentially. And so they would train people to find water, but it also would bring them in alignment with um, the geopathic stress, which is actually very dehydrating to the body. And it actually causes um, them to resonate with now wherever they go other geopathic stress.
Yeah,
So it's a really interesting uh phenomenon
yeah,
that happens. So it's like, and then so that becomes like, okay, so you got to clear the energy body
yeah,
after you do things like that, like coming into resonance with lower vibrational energies, you have to really work at keeping their vibration high. And that's
right.
part of what I'm talking about too, is like the more you can work with the energy leaks in your body, in
That's
your
right.
field, your neighborhood, in your house, and the higher vibration will that you can create, the more life force energy you'll have. And the more life force energy you have, the more vitality and
Yeah,
um, stronger energetic field you'll have. So it's like
mhm,
you're not so porous. You have
right.
barriers of energetic. And then your vibration determines how you're going to experience this reality.
That's right.
It really does,
Mm.
like I feel like it's instant for me in terms of like if I'm angry and I'm out, it's like I feel like that's how accidents happen because there's
Oh,
this
totally.
angry
Yeah.
and it's like, and then everything is so magnetic right now. I mean, I don't know if it's just me, but it's just like everything is so intensified
Mhm.
and kind of, I don't know, who knows what they're doing with these, holy, the CERN and the things,
I know.
there's talk of it, but I don't know what it
I
is
know
that
there's
they're
land
doing.
EMFs, I can feel them when they
Yeah,
go, like
yeah.
and I'll
And then
feel them.
electrifying the earth and
Yeah.
all that it's creating kind of,
It's a
you
disruption
know,
in our energy field, which affects
disruption, and but it's also like makes
Mm.
it more intensified. So whatever's happening gets more intensified.
Yeah.
So that is also part of why you want to, work
Keep
with your own vibrational energy.
That's right. And and
And
where you live because that's your sanctuary, it's that's your safe place.
yeah,
It's, like, so important to,
yeah,
yeah, energetically clear your house and your lawn, and so that's what I did yesterday. I walked along the my property line of what I live on, where I live, and I just say prayers and I seal up the property,
yeah,
put, like, a
yeah.
bubble. Yeah.
That's super important. Yeah,
Mhm.
it's super important
Yeah.
to, yeah, recognize
And
the energetic boundaries where you live and
yeah.
stuff. And
And
in
that's one of my gifts, so I didn't introduce myself in the beginning, so I'm Jemaa, an Akashic Records librarian. I'm able to tap into energy fields and help clear what me and Caitlin have been talking about, and I'm able to tap into land and sea vortexes, like, remotely, like, remote viewing and all of that, and I know you can do the same thing, Caitlin, so I know both of us can
Yeah,
you clear because I can clear land and help people get, like, balance out those vortexes. I'll help clients do that. And then I know you do too through biogeometry, which is amazing
yeah,
on the body.
yeah, we can, one way to raise the vibration on the land is to map power spots. So
Mhm.
I can work from a GPS map,
Mhm.
satellite map, and I can, map out the lines and find the intersection of the ley lines and then go to those ley lines physically on the property and magnify those lines. So you amp up the positive energy, and then the lower vibes, they can't hang. So
That's right.
that's the whole thing with biogeometry. It doesn't focus on the dark negative
Love it.
energies. It focuses on raising the vibration, and then the dark lower vibrations can go.
It can't
So
survive in the
that's
higher vibrations. It
can't survive. It doesn't, it's very
literally
uncomfortable.
that's right.
So that's what I love about biogeometry, because it's not like, I do these forms of like getting rid of entities from the body, but it actually works in a way that just focuses on raising the vibration of the body, and then whatever the entities are, they have to go. So
Love that.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
ancient science. It's
Yeah.
ancient.
It's
This is like
yeah.
the way of alchemy,
Yeah.
this is the way
Well, and
that
I know shamanism is, like, overused, but it is, that's there was shamans and this is ancient. There were shamans back then, and that's what this work
yeah.
is, energy work, and yeah, and it's very specific with the biogeometry, and it's
And
powerful because you worked on me and it works instantly. I'm
yeah, it's
very
instantly, it's remote and instant. It's amazing.
little
Yeah.
Penny here. The
I
sun
know. Look at you.
the
You're getting it.
sun has gone over the treetops there, so now I don't have a shade. Mhm, so hopefully it's not
Nice.
too
Well,
too bright. Is it too bright?
no, no, you look
Okay.
golden, Dolly. You're
All right.
glowing.
Little vitamin D, that's very important for
Yes,
and
don't
for
be afraid of the
menopause.
sun.
Dragonfly, for, like, some advice too to keep balanced with the menopause, um, is, minerals, right? So, I know you've given me some advice on keeping up with the minerals, and just your vitamins. So, like, getting out in the sun, vitamin D, like, 20 minutes a day, and taking the right minerals and hormonal balancers, like wild yam we were talking about.
Yeah, we were talking about wild yam, which I
Mhm.
haven't tried. I
Yeah, I haven't yet either.
I
I did
mean, I just like, honestly, I get some good organic soybeans and
that's
I eat soy
oh,
when
yeah.
I feel like I need estrogen, like, booster, when it's like, "Oh, I'm really frustrated," or whatever. I just eat a bunch of soy. Soy's been demonized, but our bodies, we really have to eat the foods to get the minerals. That's the thing. I'm not in support of
That's
taking
right.
a lot of supplements.
No, I agree.
I think
I'm
that
in
supplements have been over promoted, and they actually have created problems in the body. So it
yeah.
just would be really careful. But I'm was vegetarian for 20 years, and now I eat meat, and I eat
Mhm.
good meats, and I eat a lot of the bone broths, and
Yeah,
try to get calcium through that
that's good.
means, not taking calcium, because I just don't feel like, I
No,
don't
I'm
know. I
the
feel like
same.
this is also an energetic tool, and we're supposed
Mhm.
to eat things to make
Well, that's what
the
our ancestors
minerals we need.
did. Yeah, is that, and then I'm like, a crazy obsessed herbalist, and there's minerals in our herbs, in horsetail, in nettles, in dandelion root,
Yeah,
in red
yeah,
raspberry
that'll
leaf. So there's
yeah,
all our vitamins and minerals are we can they're in our plants. I mean, that's superfoods. That is food.
yeah,
Yeah. And
yeah.
so that's day I make my herbal teas. I'm making salves now. Like this is a healing salve with St. John's wort, echinacea root, mugwort, and CBD. Actually,
Aloe
made my own and
and
aloe.
aloe,
I put fresh aloe in here.
yeah,
and then
Cool.
rosemary essential oil. Oh my gosh,
Mhm.
unbelievable.
Yeah,
So,
yeah,
it's and my own lip balms, it's just I'm obsessed. I'm in the kitchen just, like, day and night, but it's because it's healing. My energy field that I work hard on keeping, clear and staying in tune with it, it craves these plants. And so
yeah,
same with like, and so that's my intuition of like what I'm needing, what my body needs, and that's what you're doing, like with the bone broth. And I
yeah,
know, like, I love animals so much, so I was like, I always see their little eyes looking at me. But I do love bone broth and a good, but like you said, like that's been treated well, like, know where your meat is coming from, how is it, um, set free to the other side? Uh, was it
yeah.
done in a loving way and grass-fed and organic food, so find your local, meat person if possible.
Yeah, and just part of what's happening too in this reality is that there's a lot of confusion about what to eat
Mm,
and what's good, what's not good. And like for me, there's this promotion of the fasting. And what I'm getting is like, no, in this time of life, it's not good for a woman my age to fast.
right.
It actually isn't, like, helpful.
Yeah.
So, it's like you really have to tune in, but other people it may be, but for me, that's like a man's way of eating. It's not my way of eating.
That's right.
So, that's just, like, how and that we need a lot of nutrients in this time because it is kind of like being a
Ah.
teenager or being we need to, like, fortify, and then there's a whole thing around understanding why women get these bone things and osteoporosis and all this stuff. It's like, really, have we been giving ourselves enough nutrients
Well,
in
yes, and
our
so
food?
it's sad
Our
diet, the standard American diet that we've been force fed in these grocery stores, and everything's
It's
calcium fortified. I just was having a conversation with my mom, and so
and iron fortified. That's
it's
a whole thing too.
what is?
Iron.
Yeah, iron and calcium fortified. Our bodies don't know what to do with that.
Yeah,
It's not out of our foods where our bodies know where to put the natural from the plants. Our body knows where to store that calcium from the
yeah,
plants, but taking calcium pills or food that's fortified calcium because it's a synthetic, most likely these
yeah,
corporations, these companies put synthetic crap in there, and so our bodies don't know where to put that. So then it starts pulling
right.
from your bones and becomes you get osteoporosis, but then you have cataracts in your eyes. That's calcium buildup. So how do you have both at the same time? It's because something's out of balance.
Yeah,
Yeah, so that's why
yeah.
it's super important. And I feel like there is a movement going on to switch over to what we're talking about, get away from all the supplements. Um,
Well, I mean, as
oh,
women of our age, we're in I'm in my 50s
50s,
right now. Yeah,
51.
so it's like we grew up with as soon as you could, you got on the pill.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
That's many generations also. It was the big liberation was to get on the pill and
Mm,
it's the big
yeah.
solution. In fact, I was looking up my skin stuff hesitantly on the Google, and it was just giving me this gynecologist was like, oh yeah, great solution for menopausal acne is go on the pill. It's like, oh my
Unbelievable.
god,
Yeah.
you
No,
kidding
it's like,
me?
what?
It's
Yeah.
like I
No,
yeah.
I tried, feel like
So
that movement that you were
pharma
talking.
is all up in our business,
Well, that exactly.
their solutions
Yeah.
again. And
And then we've
we
been
remember at the
brainwashed, so
beginning
that's all
podcast, we
done.
went back to the
So,
origins of it.
yeah.
Remember the origins where it was just like this doctor wrote this book because thought women were going crazy in menopause back in the days, 1700s, 1800s. Oh, women are going crazy. They're
Mm,
literally losing their minds because they can't make babies anymore. And
Oh,
it's like, wow, the perceptions, and then how the vibe gets carried through history, right?
yeah,
It's
'cause
just
there's a
like, oh,
consciousness that's been implanted in there, and that's where we can be a little bit brainwashed and hypnotized through yeah, or
right.
because 'cause we're all connected, and then so then there's an energy field of that, of what whoever seeded the field with that, of thinking women and we're all susceptible because it's like there's these phases. I mean, not all of us, because I feel like I'm a little bit outside of that box, but not totally impervious. I've like, we tend to all go through phases, just with what we're wearing. Bell bottoms. Like all of a sudden, you see whoever's seeding the field with bell bottoms, and then now everybody's wearing bell bottoms. Or
My favorite seating of the field, by the way, I still am not over. I love bottoms. I love bell bottoms.
I love bell bottoms too. But and then the straight leg, those, like, kind of straight leg, I was like, "No,
I
not
know.
wearing them, not doing it," but
And
everyone
could you find flares anywhere? No.
yeah,
So hard to find
that's just with
flares, like,
clothing,
even now.
but that works for anything that's getting seeded, and we have to be super conscious of what is getting seeded out there and not to, like, just, like, kinda blindly fall into that, um,
Well, and
energy.
and we have to recognize how birth control was tied to women's liberation.
Yeah,
Birth control was tied to feminism. So it's really been all twisted in there as like, oh no, that's the
yeah,
liberating thing, not knowing how to use herbs to
right,
and marking your cycle and how to like really take charge of your own reproductive health.
yeah,
No, just take the
yeah,
hormones. And then what happens is women who have done that for years and years later get some kind of crazy cancers or
yeah,
like, oh, how'd they get that? I don't know. I'm healthy. But guess what? You've been fucking with your hormones for
yeah,
years. So,
uterine cysts,
not to, I
yeah,
don't want to shame those people who have, because I know also I wasn't super fertile myrtle. So I really wasn't a problem for me. So I know that I can say that,
yeah,
but other women have like, whoa, I could
yeah,
like look at a man and get pregnant. So it's just,
yeah.
we all have to find our own solutions to reality, but also know that like there's no like solution that's just like, oh yeah, that's a quick fix and that's fine. There always are like consequences
Mhm.
to the pharma.
Yeah, but there are.
So
Well, because like I was
there
saying,
are.
is that it's synthetic. So those birth controls, they're hormonal, but it's synthetic, and so but we
Yeah.
didn't know any better back then because our parents didn't,
Right.
and so there was that's where the things were seeded, and then and us humans, we're so trusting, so we just
Yeah.
are we're kinda naive, our souls came here and we're just like we're really trusting, and then there's bad energies out there that do wanna harm us,
Yeah.
that don't want us to be healthy and thriving because they're the polarity. There's the light and dark, and they're the dark polarity, and so we had to navigate through that, and we're the light, and so, but now I think there's a lot of consciousness that's recognizing like, I don't think I wanna learn through the dark polarity anymore, so, so
Yeah.
making some shifts, which is beautiful, away from the
Yeah.
birth control. I'm thankful because I did try them, when in that movement, but I guess I'm thankful that I was in tune already with my body back then, but I felt like I was going nutso. Just I was on them for like
Yeah.
2 days and
Right.
I was
I
like,
tried
"Oh
them too. I tried
god,"
them too. And I was like,
I
okay,
just
this
threw
is
them away. I
gonna
was
ruin
like,
my relationship.
"Screw this. Screw these things." Yeah. So
Yeah. Yeah. It
But
was awful.
and everything is a lesson. So be, thankful for the lessons, that
Yeah.
gotten you here today through maybe some of those body ailments because you're able to help the next person um go through,
Yeah.
not take the same steps of like, oh, you did realize, that the birth control is, you know, creating, in the long run, it created some health issues. And,
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm talking to the women out there that have done that because I know of some friends that same, was, now
Yeah,
later in their life going, "Wow, I had ovarian cysts and this and that," and it's linked to hormonal changes, and then the synthetic of trying to balance it out created,
yeah.
ailments later on down the road.
Yeah, and the body's amazing. The body knows what to do if you get it on the path of healing, so
Yeah.
it's almost like,
Mhm.
once you realize it and then you start working with it
Well,
consciously, you can
my biggest
change.
message, yeah, is that our bodies are our biggest messenger for when things are out of balance in our energy field. So when everything is energy, and if we have a broken energy field, disruption, our body is the first one to let us know that, hey, something's out of balance in your life, either through consciousness or even in the house, your house, where is there the unbalanced energy that's affecting the body? And that
Yeah.
that's what I've always
No, because we are this energetic tool.
or
We
exactly.
are, like,
Our body
you
helps
know
us figure that out. Yeah, through
Yeah.
yeah, and injury.
Yes, so menopause is about really listening, deep listening to the body. It's like, you're gonna go on and not or you're gonna stop and listen.
That's yeah,
This is like the setup for the final frontier, you
that's
know?
yeah. Like the
So you're gonna
emotional,
enjoy
I'm getting
life.
Jimmy, like so fast. I'm like, okay, why am I getting angry so fast? I was like, okay, it's my wounded male. Okay, why do I have a wounded male going on? And have to go into the other lifetimes and go into this life. Like, where did I have to like become more male dominant to be in this feminine body? So that's kind of what I figured out too. Having to like
Yeah,
not be portrayed in a certain way as being blonde and blue eyed. I had to like overcompensate with more of male energy and then being a single mom. So anyways, there's a whole thing that
yeah,
happened. But
and then befriend that,
yeah.
befriend that part because, I've been, like, kind of going deep into the internal family systems way of therapy where it's like you really because it relates to shamanism too and the way shamans look at
Mhm.
people and their things that happen to people, how it kind of splits and fractions off the self. And then you have all these, but really, internal family systems acknowledges that you have all these parts. And,
Right.
and there's even the suicidal part, and
Yeah.
there's there's all these parts